Okay, right now, I am showing you my order form or my work order form where my customer writes in the order. So the first thing you're going to do is find the clip art that you're going to use for the project, and I'm opening it up. I use Photoshop for mine. So what I have done, I dropped the image into Photoshop and I am resizing it into the size that I need for it to be for this specific design, and I am positioning it in the place that I feel is appropriate. Okay, once I get it into the place, I am now writing the text. Okay, so I just typed it in using the font that was on there already. Now I'm going to resize the font into the appropriate size for what I'm going for with the design. And sometimes you just play around with it a little bit. Okay, now I'm highlighting. I highlighted the text, so I'm gonna play around with the fonts because I didn't really like that font. So I'm gonna look through and see if I find one I like better. And you can do this all day, look through fonts. This is really the part of designing a t-shirt, for me anyway, that takes the longest, because I try to find something that I think looks nice. And sometimes it can be simple, but it has to be something that I like. So I stroll through and just play around with the fonts. And sometimes you can look at your artwork and you can tell what font looks best with it. Like if you use artwork with a thin line, you don't want to use something that's too crazy, that may not look right with it. But everybody, it's really by preference. Different people like different things, and the customer wanted it arced, but I didn't really like it the way that I arced it at first with the plain arch on it. So I kind of gave it a little effect by arching the top of it. And I'm repositioning the text, and the way you do that, you move it around and you kind of choose where you feel it's appropriate at. And right now what I'm doing, I'm designing the front of the shirt. And this shirt, if you notice on the order form, it was a front and a back to the shirt. And I'm adjusting it to the size that I feel most comfortable with. Okay, now I have it in the size, and since I'm doing it a one color and the black from the letters and the image is touching, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do an outline in white so that you can differentiate the letters from the basketball in the design. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'm satisfied with that design, so I just go save it, and I save it as a JPEG because I'm gonna need to be able to pull it into Cut Studio. Okay, I'm saving it so that I can open it up in Cut Studio. Now I'm working on the design for the back. And the back, it has Prince Mackey on the back, and then it has the number 14. And when I resized it, I noticed that there was too much space between Prince and Mackie, and I didn't really like how they looked, so I just went over and I changed the spacing on it, and right there I changed it. I made it a little too close, so I had to adjust it. Okay, and that looks better, and maybe a little more, one more space. Okay, that's good right there. All right, and I go and I do the number 14. I type number 14 in. I have to adjust it to make it in proportion to the rest of the text. Okay, so now I have everything done, and it's to my satisfaction. So I'm gonna show you both designs so you can kind of check them out. Okay, that's the front design that's going on the front, and that's the back design, kind of like a jersey, and that's going on the back. Okay, so I saved that as a JPEG so that I can use it in Cut Studio, in Rolling Cut Studio. All right, now what I'm doing, I am actually measuring the hoodie to see how much space I have to work with. When you're using, this is a small youth hoodie. When you're using small hoodies like this in the youth sizes, I always like to measure and make sure that I don't print it out too big and waste material. Okay, now I am opening up Rolling Cut Studio, and as it opens up, I am loading the vinyl. I'm loading the vinyl into the vinyl cutter to prepare it to cut out my design. Okay, and with the Roland GX24, it's very simple to adjust it. You just have to line up the pinch rollers to the edge of the vinyl, and then you set the machine to measure whatever size the vinyl is. Okay, now I'm going back over to the computer, and I'm going to pull in the JPEG images that I designed, and once they're in there, they're very oversized, so I have to resize them. And I do them oversized because I don't want them to lose quality. You know, it's best to oversize them and then shrink them down instead of doing them too small and having to blow them up and make them lose quality. So I found that works pretty good for me when I make them a certain size and I shrink them down to the size that I need for whatever garment I'm printing on. Okay, now I have it the right size that I need, and I go for the back design. And because this is a small garment, a kid's small hoodie, I am able to print both the front and the back on the same sheet of vinyl without having to do them separately. I can do them right beside each other because they will both fit. Okay, now that I have them in the size that I need, now I put a box around them so that the machine cuts out a square to make it easier on weeding. And as always, when you are cutting out vinyl, you have to cut it out in reverse so that it lays correctly on your shirt once it's printed. Okay, now the machine is cutting out the design, and it doesn't take long. The rolling is pretty quick. Once it's done, I remove it and I go into the weeding process. And the weeding process, the reason I don't like the sticky back vinyl, it makes it harder to weed. Sometimes when you are weeding it, it will stick to stuff. Like if I had the sticky back vinyl, like the Siser Easy Weed, it could stick to my calendar, so I usually would remove anything that would mess it up if it sticks to it, like the paper. And the weeding process, as you can see, is pretty easy. Now if you had to do 100 shirts like that, you know, it would take a long time. Using vinyl as the way I'm using it, you know, you wouldn't want to do 100 shirts like that. Now it does come in handy when you're personalizing things such as jerseys, like the back number. But if I was doing the front and they're all going to be the same, like the team name on the front, I would definitely screen print that. And I'm just kind of showing you what it's looking like as I weed it. It looks pretty much exactly as it was on the computer screen, except for, you know, the black color is white because I use white vinyl. And I'm cutting the image out right now. I don't want to leave any box around it or any white pieces on the edge, because that will not come off the shirt. Once you press it on, it's on there. And I'm just trimming along the edge. Okay, and that's a look at the design, what it's looking like, and that's the one for the back. Now on over to my heat press. Okay, I already heated it up and it's ready to go. So I take the design and I lay it on there. And when you're printing the smaller designs, if you notice in some of my other videos, I use the T-square it. But when you're printing the smaller designs, it's a lot easier just to eye it, you know, do it by eye. And then, you know, I use the logo it just to check and make sure that everything is even, because you know, you can be a little off, but usually it's pretty close just by doing it by eye on those small garments. Okay, and I pressed it for the appropriate time, and I use that towel. I rub it on there to absorb some of the heat off of there. And I press the front. I don't remove it if I'm pressing front and back, but I really don't think it'll hurt, because the bottom of my heat press platen, it has the Teflon cover on there, so the vinyl is not going to stick. I just prefer to print everything and then peel it all off at once, instead of peeling the front off and then peeling the back off. And as you can see, this is pretty much the whole process for the designing t-shirts, and it really didn't take that long at all. Maybe 15-20 minutes, because I was filming, and at one point when I was weeding, the battery died and I had to exchange it. But it really does not take that long at all when you're doing a few shirts, and it's a pretty good way to make some money. And just stay tuned for more videos. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys what everything looks like. I will be posting weekly videos, and I thank you guys for watching. And that's the front of the shirt right there, and that's the back of the shirt. And I appreciate you. See you next time. I'll post videos every Wednesday. Bye.